I don't care who you think you are, you don't belong in this room, and you certainly don't belong on this board. Leave, or I'm calling security. Those were the words that ignited firestorm in a quiet suburban school district. What started as a standard PTA meeting turned into a high-stakes battle for justice that ended in a way no one, especially not the woman shouting, ever saw coming. Welcome back to Justice Scope, where we peel back the layers of bias to find the truth. Today, we're looking at a case that went viral for all the wrong reasons, but ended with a powerful lesson in accountability. Welcome back to Justice Scope. Before we dive in, subscribe to this channel and hit the like button for more interesting videos. Also tell us where you are watching from in the comment. We're talking about Marcus Reed, a dedicated father, a local business owner, and a man who just wanted the best for his daughter's education. But to Sarah Jenkins, the PTA president, he was an outsider who needed to be silenced. Today, we're breaking down the dramatic confrontation, the systemic bias that fueled it, and the immediate middle-of-the-meeting vote that changed the district forever. To understand the explosion, we have to look at the fuse. For months, Marcus Reed had been vocal about the lack of resources in the district's lower-income neighborhoods. He wasn't a troublemaker, he was an advocate. But Sarah Jenkins saw it differently. To her, the PTA was an exclusive club. She had run the board for 5 years with an iron fist, often silencing parents who didn't fit her vision for the school. Eyewitnesses say Sarah had been monitoring Marcus for weeks, waiting for a reason to push him out. Have you ever felt like your voice was being silenced in a place where you were supposed to be heard? Let me know in the comments. We're reading all of them. It happened on a Tuesday night. The agenda was school safety, but the atmosphere was anything but safe. Marcus stood up to ask a question about the allocation of funds for after-school programs. He was calm, articulate, and within his time limit. Sarah interrupted him mid-sentence. She claimed he was disrupting the peace and intimidating the other members. When Marcus refused to sit down without an answer, Sarah took it to the next level. She stood up, walked around the podium, and told him, in front of a room full of parents, that he was trespassing and needed to be removed. The room went silent. You could hear a pin drop. Marcus didn't yell. He didn't get aggressive. He simply pulled a folded piece of paper from his pocket and said, "Sarah, I think you should check the bylaws before you finish that sentence." But Sarah didn't check the bylaws. She called for a security guard. What she didn't realize was that the superintendent and 3 members of the district school board were sitting in the back row, watching every single second of her behavior. And they were about to do something unprecedented. Here's where the power shift happens. Marcus wasn't just a parent. He was a former civil rights attorney who knew the district's charter better than Sarah did. He knew that the PTA president didn't have the authority to remove a parent for asking a budget question. As security approached, the superintendent, Dr. Eris Thorne, stood up. He didn't tell Marcus to leave. He told the security guard to stand down. Then, he turned his attention to the stage. He called for an emergency point of order. The tension in the room was suffocating. Dr. Thorne addressed the room. He stated that the behavior displayed by the PTA president was a direct violation of the district's code of ethics regarding diversity, inclusion, and parental rights. Because the majority of the school board was present, and because the PTA operated under the school's charter, they had the right to intervene if the leadership was found to be acting in bad faith. Right then and there, a motion was made to suspend the current PTA leadership, pending an investigation into discriminatory practices. Sarah's face went from bright red to ghostly white. She tried to protest, but the room erupted in support of the motion. Within 3 minutes, a vote was held. The result? Unanimous. Sarah Jenkins was stripped of her title on the spot. But the biggest surprise wasn't Sarah's removal. It was who they asked to step in as the interim chair to ensure the meeting actually finished. Stick around, because the lesson here is one for the history books. Marcus Reed didn't just win a seat at the table that night. He became the one leading the conversation. He was appointed as the interim chair, and for the first time in years, every parent in that room felt like they had a voice. This story isn't just about a dramatic meeting. It's a reminder that bias often hides behind procedure and authority. But when we stand our ground with facts, dignity, and the truth, the walls of exclusion can crumble in an instant. Justice isn't just a concept, it's an action. If you believe in accountability and the power of standing up for what's right, hit that like button. Subscribe to Justice Scope for more stories where the truth finally comes to light. And tell me, what would you have done if you were in Marcus's shoes? Let's talk about it in the comments. See you in the next one.